Down and
I think we are live, fellas.
All right.
Just double checking because I saw the live thing was popped up in the top left corner. I'll see if it was on Facebook. But yeah, we're live for the CFL Global Draft. Alex McCow, Daniel McKenzie, Jeff Rheinbold, John McKinnon, and myself, Caleb Leach, here with AFI. And here it is. Alex, I'm doing a lot of talking, but I know this was your thing with the CFL Global Draft. This is an exciting day with global football. Give me some background. Give us some insight. What's going on?
For sure, yeah. Today, there's going to be 3 rounds, so each CFL team will pick 3 different global players for next season as part of the CFL Global Initiative. So some dreams are coming true, some pro football dreams for global dream chasers, as they say. And we're super excited to be joined by Jeff Rheinbold, who knows the Global Initiative better than any of us here. And we're excited to hear his insights.
Hey, it's great to be with you guys. And I want to tell you that, first of all, Roger Kelly told me you guys were you were the young lions, that you create energy for him. So I think that's great. And again, what you guys do for football internationally is so very important in growing the game around the globe. And that's been a passion project of mine since 1995.
Yeah, Jeff, can you talk a little bit about, just to briefly, obviously you have 30 years of history here in international football and with the CFL and the NFL. Can you give a little bit of background on kind of how you came to be part of or involved with the CFL initiative and kind of like what it's about, the international initiative and the global draft?
Well, I first became involved in the NFL initiative. I was coaching in NFL Europe, and Tony Allen was going to start the first NFL pathway program, the national player program it was called. And Tony asked me to be a part of it. I, wanted to do that because, when I first came to Europe in 1995 and I went around and we did some things with the local, club teams. And I was coaching in Dusseldorf, and I went out to work with the Dusseldorf Panther, my first experience with international football. And I saw these kids who, practice on a field with no lines. The grass was 6 inches tall. It was just so many things that an American kid would never, he'd say, I'm out of here, right? But these kids loved it. They loved football. They were like sponges. They soaked up everything. And they kind of won my heart over. And then as I started to travel more in Europe, and I did work in the UK and France and all over Europe, it was the same story every country, right? Not enough equipment, not enough coaches, not enough fields, not enough officials, not enough of anything. But the kids would not be stopped. Their desire to be players, their vision and dreams were the same as every American kid playing in Dallas, Texas, or LA, or, anywhere. And, they really captured my heart. And so, like I said, this has been something I've been emotionally invested in for all this time.
Well, it looks like we have our first pick in. Montreal Alouettes have taken Jonathan Kingsley with the first pick, a linebacker from Syracuse. Daniel, I know you scouted Kingsley a little bit. What can you say about this guy?
Yeah, explosive athlete. I thought he looked great on tape. I had him pretty high on my board. I actually had him going 4th to the Argonauts. But yeah, great athlete. I think it's a great pickup. I think he's going to have an immediate impact. Great body size for the CFL as well. Yeah, I like him.
I'll tell you what, guys, when you're looking at players and you're looking at your draft pool, you're looking for guys that can contribute on your football team right away. And then you're also looking for players that can contribute in other ways, like, for example, as a practice roster player or whatever, because rosters both in the National Football League and in the Canadian Football League are so small now that you have to look at, when you build a football team, you build it from the bottom up. You build it from your last practice roster spot all the way up to your number 1 player. And again, a guy that can run, a guy that has experience playing at the highest level of college football, which is Division I, the Power 5 conference, which Syracuse is an ACC school. This is a kid that has some serious advantages over other players he's going to compete against because he's been there, done that, competing at the highest level.
Jeff, when teams are evaluating, obviously the CFL is a slightly different game to the American version. How does the body type and that come into evaluation?
It's very much similar to the way we did it in Kansas City with the Chiefs. You're going to grade a player on, first of all, his measurables, right? By position. So we have profiles for every position on the football field because the physical demands are different at different positions. And those are weighted. So, for example, an offensive lineman, he has to have size, he has to have width, he has to have reach, he has to have all of those things. So all of those, what we call anthropometric measurements, are put in a formula, and then we spit out what's called a combine grade. And from there, he's given his combine grade, and then you go to the film and you look at the player on film, right? Because part of this, and this is what makes the global draft so unique, even compared to the CFL draft, the Canadian draft, and really unique compared to the NFL draft, is you're going to have to look at a player in some cases on tape where it's very difficult to compare the levels of football, right? So he may be playing at a low level of football in his country. That's not his fault, but you have to be able to project what he's able to do on that film and use his anthropometric measurements, his combine grade. And then uniquely in the CFL, if he's rated high enough, he'll come to Toronto and actually compete in helmet and shoulder pads and in football drills. So you really get an opportunity to see a kid compete in a like environment.
Spot on. I think we just have our second pick just come in. The Hamilton Tiger Cats selects Bailey Fint, punter from Australia. I know Alex and Daniel and I, we spoke about the punters going early in the CFL draft, but Coach, if you can continue on just your enlightenment or your insight on the importance of punters in the CFL. Can you give our audience something?
I think one of the things, and John Ryan, who's a punter for the Saskatchewan, was the punter for Saskatchewan last year and had punted for a long time in Seattle, is not a fan of this because he thinks it's pushing specialists out, Canadian specialists out of jobs. The bottom line, it's about competition. And that's what we're in a global industry now, right? Pro football is a global industry. And so these Australian kids, and you see a number of them in our league. Hamilton had one last year. We have one in Montreal. Calgary has one. There are a number of them punting and kicking around the league. They bring a unique skill set to the league because with our wide field and the difference in the special teams rules in the CFL, where punting and kicking is way more important than it is now in the NFL, these guys become much higher rated on your board because of the things they can bring to you. For example, Hamilton, this kid's going to go in and compete against another Australian for the punting job.
No, absolutely. Daniel, I just saw your face light up because I saw the number 3 pick. So that's Ralph Russins from Latvia is going to the BC Lions. Daniel, why did you let your face light up?
No. I've got Carlos Browns.
Oh, Carlos Brown. Excuse me. That was all
another Latvian.
Yeah, the other Latvian.
Yeah,
I saw Latvia and I spoke too fast, but yeah,
the other Latvian. Yeah, I'm quite shocked. I mean, he's obviously I think a freak of nature in terms of he's huge and he's a big strong man. But to get picked that highly, I don't know. It's awesome for him, I think.
Man, the thing that one of the things that you can measure is accuracy is how strong a guy is. And, they use the 225-pound bench for that. And again, when you saw what those young global kids did at the combine in the bench press, it was impressive. And so there's a kid that we talk about has the traits. Well, physical strength is one of the traits that you're going to need as a lineman in professional football. And, a number of the kids in the global draft are guys that they will not take a step back to anybody in terms of strength.
Yeah. I mean, I was lucky enough to play with Carlis in 2019. He is a stud who loves football. He looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, he is totally yoked up. Like you said, Jeff, he showed it on the bench press. And you could see one thing that I noticed about Carlis is he cared about football a lot. He worked on his craft. He was watching pass rush videos till 3 a.m. So I'm really excited to see what he does with this opportunity because he is a go-getter who's chasing his dreams in pro football, which is pretty cool for a kid from Latvia.
Guys, we had Margus Hunt when I was at SMU, the Estonian kid that went on and was drafted, I think, in the 3rd round by Indianapolis and just finished his career last year with New Orleans. And, you know, we found Margus in the weight room. And he was a guy that was there. He was, I think, a hammer thrower by trade, but he was there working with the track coach at SMU. And he was in the weight room one day. And I'm going to tell you something. He walked in and he reminded me of Ivan Drago from those old Rocky movies with that, I must break you. And we saw him in the, you know, doing his Olympic lifts and immediately asked him to say, what, you know, would you be interested in playing football? And we gave him a tryout that spring, and his athletic measurements translated into an NFL career. And that's why it's so important that as we go out and cast the net internationally for global players, we got to work with guys who have like skills, like talents, right? And Margus became, you know, one, I don't know how many, probably made $15 million in the NFL, you know, which is pretty good money for a hammer thrower.
It's not bad at all. Not bad at all. It looks like we had pick 4 and 5, 4, 5, and 6 come in. We had a punter, John Haggerty from Australia, go to Toronto. Pick 5 is a bit exciting. Swedish linebacker Jordan Genmark Heath going to Saskatchewan Roughriders. I know that was a hot topic in the group as well. Alex, Dan, Coach, John, somebody give me something on Jordan.
Stud safety turned linebacker who had a great season for UCLA this past fall. I think he just got signed by the Chiefs as a UDFA. Originally the Swedish youth team quarterback, so pretty cool to see him transition. And just a great athlete, and I'm sure if he ends up in Canada, he'll do well with opportunity.
Jeff, when going for this draft and players have already been picked up in the NFL as free agents, how highly do you kind of want to pick those guys so you have rights to them in the CFL?
Well, that's an individual club thing, but I think this is the way basically all clubs operate in terms of that conundrum, if you will. Number one, what if we find out what his signing bonus was in the NFL? Certain guys, here's the reality of it. If you're given a big signing bonus, you've got a great chance to make the football team. If you're a guy who didn't get a big signing bonus and you're a UDFA, it's going to, the numbers are stacked against you. So you may, draft a kid a little higher who doesn't have a lot of money in him in an NFL camp. And then you'll go to your NFL your NFL contacts and say, hey, listen, you try and get as much information as you can about how they really feel about that kid. And then some of it is just by feel. You just got to say, hey, he's good enough to wait for, right? He's good enough that we'll take a shot and wait for him, because the player, if he does come to us, we think he'll be a significant player.
Hey, quickly, guys, I just want to introduce Keanu Ebanks, who just joined the call. He's lived the global CFL experience a couple times and recently signed with Calgary Stampeders. So welcome, Keanu. We appreciate you joining us.
Hey guys, what's up? I hope we're all doing well on this exciting Tuesday evening.
Speaking of that, Olaseni and Zavada just got picked up as well in 7 and 8.
How does it work? We talked yesterday on our internal chat about Jordan Genmark Heath getting a UDFA deal with the Chiefs, and to see him drafted here by Saskatchewan. How does that work necessarily? Does he, Jeff? In your experience, how does this kind of sort itself out?
Normally, what will happen is these kids will go from, and they're happening right now, mini camps. The clubs, as soon as the NFL draft is over, they all bring in all their draft picks and their UDFAs for rookie mini camps that are typically 3 days long. And then they go back out on Monday or Tuesday. And from there, they'll pare this down. Now, some UDFAs you see, and this is good stuff to talk about, because you'll see on Twitter guys talking about, I got signed or I got invited to a rookie mini camp. Clubs will also bring in non-draft or not non-signed players, basically on tryouts for the 3 days. And then from there, make a decision whether they want to sign them and bring them to camp, because they're underneath, just like we are in the CFL, you're underneath roster restrictions all the time. And then from there, those guys, if they are kept on the club after that first mini camp, will then go to future mini camps and OTAs and all of the coaching sessions and all of that goes on as you go towards the draft. The thing I think it's important that everybody understands, that a player can be cut at any time. I mean, that's just the life of, players' reality in pro football. So if you have taken, so for example, you've drafted a kid who signed a UDFA in the NFL, you're going to track his progress all the time. And then you have to be ready when he is, let's say he's cut later on, then you can go ahead and sign him and bring him to your team.
All right, guys. So I'm just going to show a quick picture of the first round since we just wrapped up. So yeah, we see some international linemen joining Keanu potentially in the CFL.
Yeah, Bammy.
So,
he just got picked up by the Raiders, I'm sure.
Yeah, another UK lineman. So that's exciting, in Calgary as well. And then Hector Zabata from Monterrey, Mexico, who was part of the IPP, as Caleb knows.
Yep.
Yeah, Caleb, can you talk about Hector a little bit?
Yeah, Hector, man, is coming from one of the top, or in my opinion, the top college football team in Mexico. He's very technically sound, great with his hands, solid with his footwork, understands the game more than what some Americans would assume an international athlete would think an athlete from Mexico would know. The college football system in Mexico is a lot better than it gets credit for. It's actually consistent. They are competitive. They're not playing the game as fast as college football in the U.S., but there is a system in place for these athletes to compete in, and they learn the game at a solid level. Hector didn't make the NFL IPP this year, and it wasn't by a long shot that he missed it by so much. He was very, very close. Was arguably the sharpest athlete in the group this year and had a very strong IQ. Unfortunately, he just didn't make the cut this year, but I'm very happy to see him on a CFL roster at this moment.
You make a great point, because Monterey Tech is good as a lot of 1AA or Division II schools in the United States. It is a fantastic program, yes. And they have been extremely successful at going back all the way to the old national player program in the NFL, getting players into professional football. Roberto Pruneda, who went from there and played in the National Football League with the Arizona Cardinals, is just an example of the kids. It's fun for me when I'm watching this, guys, to think now back to the kids that we had go from, you talk about a Swedish linebacker. Well, we've had Swedish linebackers in the NFL program for years. Sweden has a highly developed football system. They do a great job of coaching up there. And it's great to see these kids. I talked to a kid the other day and I said, you remember, just know this, you stand on the shoulders of those who come before you. It's not just the Sebastian Vollmers who went through the program and then were drafted in the third round and have 2 Super Bowl rings. It's all those other guys who came before you as professional football players.
Spot on.
How is the international game viewed in Canada? Does it differ to North America, to the US?
Well, I think what really, you guys are starting to chip at this, right? The biggest thing is people just don't know, right? They're not aware of the fact that there are highly developed youth programs at numbers of places around the world. That Japanese college football is extremely well developed. Mexican college football, I think it's 200 some schools in Mexico in play beyond high school. I'm talking about college and junior college football. So there's a tremendous amount of football being played, more than ever before in the world. In England, now there's university football, which never existed in the past. Almost, I think, 200 teams playing university football in England. So I think Canadians would be surprised to see just how good the football is around the world. And like I say, you guys are chipping away at that because the information that you bring to us through your newsletter and the internet is huge in making people aware of just how good these players are. You know, Theodric Hansen comes from a club program in Germany, and he makes an immediate impact in the CFL, an immediate impact. He's a significant contributor to a back-to-back championship Winnipeg Blue Bombers team, right? And so when those kinds of things happen, people kind of open their eyes and go, hey, they played football in Germany? What? Well, you find out it's really pretty good.
For sure. Let's just jump back to the draft real quick. Keanu, not to put you on the spot, but I see a British guy here and some other names that we recognize from Europe. Yeah, what do you think of this second round?
I mean, it's good so far. I prefer it to the last draft where we saw a lot of punters and kickers go in the first 2 rounds. It's nice to see some guys who are down in the trenches do the dirty work getting picked up by Canadian teams.
Yeah, I see we have two guys from kind of the French Quebec connection here from Laval. Solomon Karamakamo, which probably butchered that name there, but Caleb, you know him. Give us some insight, man.
Solomon's a good guy. Great athlete. As coach was saying again, that the CFL does a great job saying, I need an athlete. I have a body type. I need a guy who, when you're looking at these GMs and these scouts are looking for someone who has a solid football IQ, who's fast, athletic, and is flexible, meaning he can play multiple positions. And Karamoko fits that bill. He could be the halfback on the defense. He could be a corner. He could probably play some safety. He obviously can contribute to some special teams. Good athlete. Coach Jeff or Dan, if you want to put to that, please.
It's interesting that Suleiman was picked up after Edris, because obviously they both play in Canada, but you'd feel that Suleiman produced more at the college level. So it's interesting, but Idris, obviously, he performed much better testing wise. His 40 was, I think it was like 4.5, I think. He was more interesting as an explosive athlete, I guess, than Suleiman, and maybe that's why the Canadian League fancied him over Suleiman.
I think it's important to understand, just like
jump up real quick. What are you thinking?
No, I think it's important that everybody understand, just like the NFL draft, and I did the NFL draft, last week for Sky Sports. You only need one team to like you. That's the bottom line. And if you have what one team is looking for, I mean, do you remember the pause in the room when the Patriots took the offensive lineman from Tennessee Chattanooga with their first pick? Well, yep. That's what I'm talking about. All you need is to be that guy that one team wants. And what's encouraging to me as I see these kids come off the board is there are more and more guys that are non-punters and kickers that are playing, right? And I think that's important. And that tells me that the game around the world is improving. You're not just specialists anymore. You're actually, as our young British offensive lineman said, guys that do the dirty work in the trenches.
Love to see it.
Just picked up Marcel Dabo.
Did he just get signed by the Colts?
Yeah,
yes.
Interesting one, because I guess they're, like Jess spoke about earlier, you're kind of weighing up whether you want to take a chance on a player early, hoping he comes to the CFL sooner rather than later. But Dabo looks like he's going to be in the NFL for a while at least.
Yeah,
but he's a young athlete. He's only 22, right? So I'm guessing they're hoping they have the right to him in a year or two.
But isn't he a global pathway guy, IPP guy? So doesn't he have a secured place for like at least 2 years?
Yeah.
3 years maybe?
3 years now. So with the IPP players, these athletes get their contracts guaranteed for 3 years. It's a great program for these guys to come in, learn, get some experience, really develop, and have less of a risk, right? Like the free agent guys, it's still risky. You can get cut and you're on your own again. As Coach was saying, like you come into camp, once you're cut, you're cut. And International Pathway Program, like as you know, Keanu, you went through your experience. It's a secure way for these guys to go. There's another athlete I wanted to talk about. The Saskatchewan Roughriders picked up Lucas Ruaus, the Switzerland linebacker. I have a lot of respect for this guy. You're talking about high football IQ, grind. He understands it as he went from Switzerland to the JUCO route to the D2 route in Minnesota. And he's finally getting his opportunity with the CFL. He fits the body type. I think he's going to be another Theodric Hansen, in my opinion.
Awesome.
So Jeff, we've seen a few Mexican athletes signed here. How do coaches evaluate Mexican football as a whole? I know we had Hector Zabata, and now we have another kicker, and we've seen a few Mexicans kind of carve a rollout for themselves in the CFL.
Yeah, again, I'll go back to our experience with the Mexican players in NFL Europe, because Spain didn't produce enough players for a national roster with the Barcelona Dragons. They allowed Mexican players as Spanish speakers and of Spanish descent to go to perform as national players for the Barcelona Dragons. And two of those guys, Marco Martos won. And, you look at a guy like Marco, who went to training camps in the National Football League and actually competed extremely strongly. He was one of the best players in NFL Europe, regardless of his place of birth, right? Marco Martos was a legit player. He was a borderline NFL guy. If he could run faster, he probably would have stuck with a couple teams. But, you look at a guy like that, and then you recognize that is one of the kinds of players that you can find in Mexico. There is and again, I can't stress this enough. There is a long history of football in Mexico and a very, very highly developed college programs. You go to UDLAP, you go to Monterrey Tech, you go to University of Monterrey. There are very, very good programs. They are well coached. They're well organized. Again, you have to make sure that you get the right kind of body type. And then again, this is another thing that gets weighed in this whole process. How well does the player speak English? Because when you look at the French kids, the English kids, the French kids, the Mexican kids, the Japanese kids in particular, it's really difficult for them if they don't have an English background, regardless of what their football IQ is, because if the game is not taught in English, the information during training camp comes so fast, right? And the reality of it is that if you make mistakes because you don't know what you're doing, right, you lose your reps. And when you lose your reps in training camp, you lose your job. And so it's important for these kids, if they haven't, that they figure out a way to be able to process the information as fast as it comes in a professional training camp.
Sure. Let's just take a look at this second round again before the third kicks off. Daniel, any players that we haven't talked about that selected in these first two rounds that you want to touch on?
Yeah, I guess, again, another IPP selection by Alouettes, I think it was. Yeah, Thomas Adu Koya. Again, it's just, I guess I'm just slightly interested by these teams taking chances on these guys, like hoping to get their rights in the future once they leave the NFL, because that is what they will have. Once they leave the NFL, that team will have the rights to that player if he decides to play into the CFL. So yeah.
And Keanu, I want to get your insight on the third overall pick of the CFL Global Draft, a guy that you've bumped heads with a bunch. I think you're muted. Carlise Browns.
Keanu, we can't hear you.
Sorry, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't even see that Carlos got picked third overall. That is honestly, that warms my heart. We used to butt heads in Hildesheim in practice every day in 2019, and to see him get picked third is awesome. He's a hell of an athlete, hard worker, and a great D-liner. So that's awesome, honestly. And I'll be seeing him twice a year once again.
Hey, fellas, I appreciate you having me on. I've got to run. Thank you so much, and keep doing the great job that you're doing, putting a microscope on football internationally.
Thank you so much for joining us.
You got it, guys. Thank you.
Right. Wow, that's awesome. Carlos, the third pick of the CFL draft. Love it.
Yeah, there's been some interesting picks so far. Not where you thought people would go. And I think it is, you spoke about it before, Keanu, about fewer specialists getting taken. I guess that's maybe Canada respecting the international game a bit more and respecting these guys that can do other things other than kick.
Right. It's good to see. Damn, I can't get away from Carlos. TFL, ELF. Oh man, the Panthers are going to be upset as well. Damn, we're supposed to be teammates again this year.
Now, where's Carlos going again? Because I got to see what kind of hair he's going to have. You think he's going to bring out the orange hair?
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised.
It looks like we got our first pick of the third round here. Kirk Christodoulou, another Australian punter from Pittsburgh. So yeah, only 8 picks left. I wonder. So who are some names left, Daniel? You've had a few mock drafts, some big boards. There's a few names out there that might get a chance still.
There's a name that I really.
Who do you have your eye on?
There's a name that I really want to see, and that's Robin Wilczek. He's a German receiver. He went to the IPP. I feel he's underrated as a receiver. I think he's a great player. I've been watching him. I watched him in Germany last year for the Dresden Monarchs. Fast, explosive athlete, great hands, can do it all. I think the only concern teams might have is his height. I think he's listed at 5'11", bit shorter than maybe some people would want, but I think he can contribute. I think he's a great receiver.
How do you think his game will translate to the Canadian game versus the American style?
Yeah, I think that's another issue. I think his game is probably suited more to maybe the NFL's as a slot guy. So that might be another concern that teams have. Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. Did the BC Lions just sign Levi Cruz from Hamburg Sea Devils? Is that?
Yes, you did.
Correct.
That is correct. Oh my goodness,
that's awesome. Shout out to Levi, man.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Keanu, you played with him last year in Hamburg.
Yeah.
Tell us about him. You have the insight.
I mean, hell of a player, hell of an athlete, great with the ball in his hands, hell of a blocker. Me and him used to run power down teams' throats for like 5-6 yards apart. Him right next to me, he can play fullback, tight end. He can do a little bit of everything, to be honest. So, damn, I'm excited for him. BC just got a real one.
Alex, who do you think? Who you missing? Who do you want to see next?
Well, I think we could see the other Latvian that Caleb alluded to, Ralph Rusens, maybe get signed here at the end. I mean, this guy, Jeff talked about playing at a high level. Ralph did that. He played, I think, 6 years at Division I level because of COVID. So this guy is ready, to step in. He's older, he's mature, and I think he could even play O-line, maybe. Like who knows? So he's pretty versatile. Maybe him with one of these last picks.
He'd be an exciting one to see. I know, speaking of some scouts, they actually did want to see him play some O-line, and his coaches at University of Liberty said he could play O-line. He has the IQ for it. He obviously has the build for it with his arms and length. That is. He's just a mature player, as you said. So having a guy who is flexible, could play multiple positions, that's what you want, when it comes to draft.
Why? Oh, Maceo just got picked up the French DB. Interesting.
Yeah, I got a chance to watch Maceo at the Global Combine in the UK, and this guy was the best athlete there. He stood out. He's got size. He jumped over 30-inch vertical. In the drills, he looked smooth. In the one-on-ones, he dominated. He was head and shoulders the best player at the Combine. So I'm not surprised to see him go, and I'm glad the team is taking a chance on him.
Otavio got drafted as well.
Who's that?
Brazilian? Otavio,
the offensive lineman who was at Berlin Thunder last year.
Right. So, and he was in the
Go ahead.
IP program in 2019 as well. We went to the same NFL Combine, yeah. That's awesome.
That's right.
Man.
You guys were both at the NFL Combine in Cologne in 2019. I remember that. I remember seeing you guys compete there. So to see you all still on your journey in Canada now, and both in Canada, Toronto versus Calgary, I checked the teams. That's gonna be pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. He's a great guy as well. Really, really good guy. Got to see him. Got to see it work out for him.
Do we think that teams would ever take a chance on players like David Ajabo or or George
No.
Karlaftis, or Bernard Raymond. Do you think they're just too much of a long shot?
Yes, I think that David Ojabo, George Karlaftis, Bernhard Raimann, those guys that went earlier in the NFL drafts have a high enough stock in the game of football that they've done enough to play in the NFL, and the CFL saying like, all right, we're probably not going to get this guy at the moment.
Yeah, but even ever, like you could have secured rights to him, like say if Ojabo plays in the NFL for 4 years, doesn't work out, and he then goes to the CFL, surely you would want rights over him as a player. And so maybe a third round selection on someone like David Ojabo might be a long shot, but the upside could be pretty big.
So Keanu, I mean, this is going to be your first season playing Canadian rules football. How are you getting ready for the change? I know on the line of scrimmage specifically, there's a big gap between the offensive defensive linemen that we don't see in 4-down football.
Yeah, it's just about, I feel, being more patient in my sets, not oversetting guys and being inside. I think getting to where the set point and just taking my time, because that yard difference is huge in how long it takes for the D-line to get to me. So yeah, I'm really thinking about being patient, to be honest. But I mean, I've been working with some of my coaches, going through some stuff already, getting ready for camp and the season already. And a lot of it is, football's football at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? A lot of it's not that new, but yeah, I can't wait to get over there and get to work, to be honest.
For sure. Let's take a quick look at the third round here and see. I think there's only one pick left, so maybe when I refresh, we'll be done. Oh, not yet. Okay. So we got some punters, some kickers, another Mexican kicker. So that's 2 Mexican kickers.
Alex,
and
can't see anything, buddy. Can you guys? I can just see.
No, I can just see your home screen, Alex.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Let me try again. Bailey Devine, Australian DB. Daniel, you know a little bit about him.
Yeah. He's been around the circuit for a while. He's been coming to a few camps in the States, played in the States. He's a solid player. He's got a nose for the ball, and he's a very, very tough kid. Another Australian. Final pick, though, Ralph Rusins.
Yep, Latvian.
Yeah.
2 Latvians drafted. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Roger Kelly would be proud. For anyone who doesn't understand that joke, Roger's heritage, his roots go back to Latvia. So I know that's an inside joke for someone. Yeah, that's pretty good thing. Just to hit on another player who I'm really excited for is Maceo Bird. You're talking about the international path of an athlete going from France, went to the CEGEP, which is the junior college system in Montreal, Canada, went that route, came back to France, tried to play football in Europe for a little bit, was at Potsdam last year. And as Alex said, very smooth, very, very smooth defensive back. When he competed at the international combine in London last October, very smooth. Marcel Dabo was the most athletic, for sure, hands down. Maceo Bird is smoother in the drills, and I'm very happy to back that up at any point. Maceo can play ball.
No, I agree. Talking about international paths to the CFL, Keanu, do you want to, now that the draft's over, do you want to kind of like let us know what your path was? How did it happen, and what was your football journey from starting in, I'm guessing, in the UK up until now in the CFL?
So I started playing football at the University of Hull in 2013 now, and I played there for 4 years. I actually then got recruited to go play for the Hildesheim Invaders, who I played for in 2018, 2019.
In Germany, right?
In Germany, that's right. In GFL 1. I actually played with Carlis in 2019. In 2020, I went to Stockholm to play with the Mean Machines, as COVID year, and like there wasn't a lot of football going on. So I thought I'd take myself out to Sweden. In 2019, I got invited to the NFL International Combine in Cologne. And 2020, I got invited to the CFL Combine in the UK. And then COVID happened, obviously, and I ended up doing the global recorded combine in 2021. I didn't get picked up. And then I just played for the Hamburg Sea Devils last year with Levi. So I know a lot of these guys already played with him or played against him. So it's pretty awesome to see him play in the CFL as well.
And then how'd you get from Hamburg to the CFL then?
I'm not quite sure, to be honest. I must have impressed some of the scouts at Calgary, and I was actually in the States in Ohio working towards a pro day, and they rang me up and said they wanted to sign me, and that was it. And now I go in a week, 6 days, fly out to Canada.
Awesome. Did you play with anyone else in Germany?
Sorry, one more time.
Did you play with anyone else in Germany?
I played with
anyone on the
Tovio, Levi,
an American center.
American center. I can't think of one, to be honest.
Okay, fair enough.
No, me and Alex played together in Hildesheim. Alex is a hell of a motor. I love that guy. Yeah, it was awesome playing with Alex. He doesn't look quite in O-line shape right now, though. To be honest, he looks more like a linebacker.
Look like a
what's right. He's not allowed at the big guy table anymore.
Yeah, man, we have to kick him off.
All right, Daniel, get us back on topic here. While I'm blushing, give us some final thoughts about these 3 rounds, please.
Yeah, they were really exciting. Obviously, me and you and probably other people had created their own mock drafts and created a draft board on where they thought people would go, and it did not go as expected. But in a very positive way, I thought it'd be far more specialist heavy than it was, which I think is, again, good for the international game because it shows that other positions are getting respect. We're getting respect as technical athletes as opposed to just kickers and punters from Australia, you know. Obviously great for the Australians, but even better for some of the other guys. Interesting, again, that they picked up the IPP guys, and I guess someone like Marcel Dabo, who's got 3 years confirmed in the NFL, but he's only 22, I think, or 21.
21.
Say again?
21.
21, yeah. So I guess they're taking that shot that maybe once his NFL career finishes or the IPP program finishes, that he'll come to the CFL and the BC Lions will have rights over him. And the same with Thomas Adu Koya. So yeah, but I think really exciting draft and really exciting for all these young athletes, and I'm super happy for them and excited to watch them play in the CFL.
Absolutely. Just to add to that, I think there's some other athletes who, unfortunately, their names weren't called today, and hopefully we'll hear their names in the future. I'm just throwing a name out there. Flemmore Simon is an athlete who's going to be playing for the Dusseldorf Rheinfire this year in the ELF. Great athlete. Kid can play all over the field on defense. If somebody asks him his position, I hope he would respond with the word defense. The kid can play ball. He's about 6'4", 6'5", 255. And he has to mature as a player. That is true. But I think he's a name we'll hear in the future. Sylvan Barlett is a name we'll hear in the future when it comes to global drafting. And it's a lot more. And the things that's going on in the UK, I know Keanu and Daniel, both you all can speak on it, that there's a lot of younger athletes who are being developed and growing and just getting to the game faster and faster. I think there's more and more exciting news coming out of that country as well.
Sure. Yeah, every year the UK seems to bring out like 2-3 guys that just absolute ballers. Like, I mean, look, Babby got picked up. Guys like Glenn Tunga, Chad Walrand, like guys who could really play football. And every year there seems to be a new batch. And then the NFL Academy I think the UK is going to start taking over a little bit. Maybe start competing with Germany in a few years. Who knows?
Well, as for
youth football, right? You're right.
Yeah, I think you said it yourself. Kind of NFL Academy, I think we've seen the recent score lines. NFL Academy, they've been beating teams 50 plus points. Yeah, they've been destroying teams, and I think it's just an investment on grassroots of football in the UK and selecting athletes with the intent of sending them to college or the States. And we've already seen a number of guys in the short time the NFL Academy has been about go to D1 programs in the States. And so we might be hearing their names in the future in the CFL Global Combine and potentially even in the NFL draft. So yeah, I think it's great, and I think it's going to, again, like Elf did in Europe, it's going to wake domestic leagues up and make them realize that they need to start contributing to grassroots level football as well. Yeah,
I can't wait
Absolutely.
to see what these young guys do.
I like when it comes to the youth scene. Like that's a whole nother topic outside of the global draft today. But I think there's a lot more talent coming through the pipelines from Europe, from Australia, from the numerous countries within Africa, whether they're from Nigeria, Ghana, or any of the others, not just West Africa, even East Africa. There's Somalian athletes or South Africa. There's a lot of athletes out here playing the game that are undiscovered, and that number is just continuing. It's going to continue to grow over the years. It's really exciting. But yeah, John?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to, this is really interesting to see the path of guys that we've been following for a while take their next step in their careers and have opportunities to pursue a professional football career. And thanks, Keanu, for joining us. Big thanks to Jeff Rheinbold for coming on and giving us some insight kind of the GM and coach side and the business side of the decisions these guys are making and the risks and, rewards that come with bringing in international talent for both the NFL and the CFL. It's really exciting what's happening. I want to thank all the guys on the call here, Caleb, Dan, and Alex. You guys all do an amazing job of covering all this stuff and are so tuned into this. It's so great. And we're going to continue to follow everyone's career. We're excited to watch Keanu this year and see your path, man. It's really awesome. And to see, starting in Germany and then ELF and now international and now going to Canada. So very happy for you. This is great, guys. Thank you.
All right. Sounds great. Thanks for tuning in, and check out our website for the recap tomorrow.
Thank you guys for having me. Take it easy, guys.
Take it easy.
Bye.